JD Vance absolutely destroyed Tim Walz in the last night's debate, and we're going to be looking at the latest electoral map forecast for the 2024 election. Make sure to hit the like button to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And so, going into the map right now, Donald Trump is currently leading Kamala Harris by 3 to 4 points in my popular vote model and is on track to defeat Kamala Harris in a pretty big landslide coming on November 5th. We are just less than 35 days away from the presidential election, and Kamala Harris is not in a great spot right now. She is currently tied or down in all of the swing states, or barely ahead in some, the same pollsters that overestimated Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton back in 2016 and in 2020. The safe Republican states are Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, as well as South Dakota, all of Nebraska except the 2nd Congressional District, as well as Alaska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Iowa, as well as the state of Texas, now going into the safe Republican column due to Hispanic support for Donald Trump and illegal immigration being a very favorable GOP issue this year and being one of the top issues in the country. Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Ohio, as well as South Carolina, including Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Looking at Kamala Harris's safe states, you have California at just 21 points for Kamala Harris, as well as DC, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Vermont, all in the safe Democrat column, just giving Harris 81 safe Electoral College votes. Going into the likely Republican states, the state of Florida is coming in at about 11.5 points for Donald Trump, a state that only voted for him by roughly 3.4 percentage points in the last cycle, but Donald Trump has gained Hispanic support throughout the last 8 years in his political career and is now on track to win Florida by one of the biggest margins any GOP nominee has in quite a long time. Going on to the next likely state, the state of Georgia, will now be going for the former president by 6 points, in which Quinnipiac's average in 2020 was actually Biden plus 0.3, and they currently have an average of about 5 to 6 points for Donald Trump in all of their polling for the two matchups. Looking at North Carolina, this will be about a 7-point win for Donald Trump, a very easy victory in the state of North Carolina, more than likely carrying Mark Robinson to the finish line in this matchup, albeit by a very narrow margin of about 1 to 2 points. The state of Arizona, it will be likely alongside Nevada at about 7 points each. In this forecast, the food service industry and Hispanic voters will be moving these two states to the right, with Wisconsin and Pennsylvania also being in the likely Republican column. Kamala Harris will not perform well with non-college voters as well as college-educated male voters after last night's debate with JD Vance and Tim Walz. Looking at Washington and Oregon, these will be in the likely Democrat column, as well as Colorado and Ohio will be in the likely Democrat column at just about 8 points for Colorado and 12 points for Hawaii in Harris's column respectively. Illinois will be in the likely Democrat column at 9 points for Harris, including Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, as well as the state of New Jersey, all going likely Democrat, alongside New York being in the likely Democrat column of just 9 points for Kamala Harris. This is a big warning sign for Democrats because the state voted for Joe Biden by 23 points in the last presidential election, and the fact that it is this big of a margin for Joe Biden and is now going down to just a 9-point win for Kamala Harris is going to spell really bad signs for the Democrats nationwide. In the 2022 midterm, Zeldin outperformed most swing state candidates because of the fact that a midterm is different from a presidential election. In midterms, you have two completely sets of candidates or different sets of candidates in all 50 states, basically barring generalization politics, meaning that at a national race, you could sort of generalize demographics because you have the same two candidates on the ballot. But when you have completely different candidates on completely different ballots during a state election, it is less federal. And so because of that, you're going to have more localized issues and more localized favorability ratings, and those tend to be less polarized. And so that's why you saw very wonky results in 2022 when you saw, Ron DeSantis win the governorship by 19 points against Christie, but you saw Evers beat Michaels in the Wisconsin race, but you only had Hochul win by 6, and Oregon was a lean margin there as well, including Kansas going Democrat as well as Arizona barely going Democrat, but Republicans actually picking up the Nevada seat with Lombardo. And so that explains those really weird trends in some of those states in the midterms. But now looking at this, a likely Democrat margin in Maine's 1st congressional district is now on the way. Michigan is in the lean Republican column in this forecast and is the only lean Republican state on the map. New Mexico and Virginia will be in the lean Democrat column. These were 11-point and 10-point victories respectively for both of the candidates. However, now looking at these races, they will be significantly closer than what they were just 4 years ago. Looking at the final states in the Midwest / the Northeast, Maine at large is also about a 1.5 win for Kamala Harris in this matchup, as well as Nebraska's 2nd being a slight point victory for Kamala Harris in this video. This slight, victory in Nebraska's 2nd is very indicative because the district has trended very, very far to the left to the point where even though Trump is outright winning the popular vote by a pretty decent amount, it is still a lean Democrat state. Looking at a tilt Minnesota, this is the major flip in the forecast here. Minnesota going Republican in this video. We clearly see that take place here. It is a very narrow margin, about a half-point victory for the former president in this video. And looking at New Hampshire, it is a very, very close race, but New Hampshire does narrowly go into the Democrat column. And so in this video, Donald Trump is winning 322 Electoral College votes to 216 Kamala Harris votes. Looking at this now, we also have seen my model has accurately predicted the 2020 election, calling all the states accurately and only having a margin of error of 0.14% on average nationwide in the Republicans' direction, essentially meaning that in all the states that mattered, I had an error of about 1.5 points or less in all the battleground states. In fact, my model actually leaned to the left of the actual results, with all of these swing states being lean Democrat, except North Carolina, which was still Republican. But if you look at the real results, you see that Wisconsin and Georgia, as well as Arizona, were a little bit closer than that, and North Carolina was a lean Republican state. And so if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button to subscribe if you want more content just like this. Comment your thoughts down below and make sure to check betonline.com. You can find them in the description down below, and you can go to the politics section and bet on the presidential election, where these states are going to go, as well as the margins, including the House of Representatives, which districts will go which way, and who will win the majority, as well as the Senate elections. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.